Good evening. Welcome, everyone. We are so excited to be having this session today. My name is Angela Labou. I'm the Chief Operations Officer at Coalition for Responsible Community Development. On behalf of the development teams, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the first workshop in a series of 4 total community workshops regarding the Vermont Manchester project, a multi-use affordable housing development that will be located on the corner of Vermont and Manchester. As you know, this land has been vacant since the 1992 civil unrest. In 2018, under the leadership of Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas, the County of LA released a request for proposals from development teams to implement 2 separate projects on the property. The development team for the affordable housing and retail component of the project is made up of Bridge Housing, Prime Store, and CRCD. A big thank you to Alexis Lang from Bridge Housing and Leandro Tyberg from Prime Store, who are here tonight to share more about the affordable housing and retail components, and they'll introduce themselves more when they present. Part of the commercial space will be an LA Metro training center to prepare and connect residents to employment and career opportunities in the transportation sector. Thank you so much to Maria Meliandes, Kenyon Price, and Ashley Mack with LA Metro. They'll introduce themselves later in the agenda, and they're going to share more about the center when they present. The second project on the development that will actually be coming to fruition sooner will be the first college prep public boarding school in California. The development team is made up of the Seed School, Abode Communities, and XED. Thank you so much to Nilura Bell from XED, who is here to share more about the school project, and she'll introduce herself when she presents. And a big thanks to you all this evening for taking time out of your day, out of your busy schedule, out of everything that is happening in this world, to be present for this workshop and to inform the project. We really appreciate your time and are looking forward to hearing what you have to say. The goals of all 4 of this series of workshops are twofold. So the first goal is to inform. We want to inform stakeholders with balanced, easy to understand information to share the purpose of the development, meet the development team, understand the timeline, and share project updates. The second goal is to build understanding of concerns and aspirations of stakeholders, of all of you, to inform project decisions. Today, our topic is design. So we're talking about really the overall components of the project. What are the parameters? On September 16th, we're going to be focused on local hire. You know, that's a hot topic right now. So we hope you'll join for that. October 7th is going to be focused on retail and community space. And October 28th is going to be focused on affordable housing, another hot topic. So we have, quite a few folks who have joined this evening. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A icon. Please, throughout the session, enter any questions you may have for the presenters in the Q&A link or in the chat box. Louis McNeil and Lisa Winkle from our CRCD team are monitoring the chat box and the Q&A box to communicate questions to presenters. Presenters and members of the development team, I see some of you in the participant list, may also respond directly to questions that are being posed in the chat boxes and Q&A boxes. And we will be emailing and posting an FAQ of all the questions and answers from this workshop, and we'll share more information about that later on in the session. I also see that we have one person who is joining just over the phone. So do know we're going to make an extra effort to make sure we open up your line to ask questions, particularly when we have that Q&A session, as you see is number 7 on the agenda. So in total, our agenda today, we have 4 different presentations talking about that will share the design elements of each component of the project. Each presenter has 10 minutes, and we should be able to take a few questions at the end of each presentation, but we've also, as mentioned, we've also got a good chunk of time in the agenda just for Q&A with presenters. We'll also spend some time after Q&A just to look forward to the 3 other workshops that we'll be hosting and asking for your input to shape those workshops. Finally, we'll wrap up with some announcements and next steps. So to get us started, we want to know who's joining the workshop today. So in a moment, you'll see 2 polls pop up on your screen. You'll have about a minute to answer the 2 polls, and we'll share the results so that we can all see who's here tonight. So I'm gonna launch the polling. So can folks see that poll? Can I get a thumbs up? All right, great. So wonderful. Thank you guys for letting us know you can see it. So take this poll. You can see that for the first question, you can select as many options that that speak to you and how you identify. Obviously, the second question is just one answer, unless you are in the multiverse and you might have different age groups going on. So we'll just give a few more seconds for folks to take the poll, and then we're gonna share the results with everyone. I can tell you now that there's a race going on with who we've got on the line. So just 5 more seconds, and I'm gonna close the poll and share it with everyone. Great. So as you can see, almost half of folks today are residents. Yes, wonderful. We are so excited for you to be here today. And about half of our participants today are in that 26 to 45 age range. Wonderful. 20, 30, or I guess 40 is the new 30, so it works out. So great. Thank you guys for sharing who's in the room. So with that, I'm actually going to turn it over to Alexis Lang, our Senior Project Manager with Bridge Housing, to share more about the project and kind of walk us through what's going to be built on this part of the project. So, Alexis.
Alexis, we can't hear you.
You're on mute.
Had the screen up, but not forgot to take the microphone
Perfect.
off. So I think it shows the project overview now. Looking correctly.
Yes.
Yeah. So hi, I'm Alexis Lang with Bridge Housing. We're an affordable housing developer based in California, and I'll give you some additional background on the site parameters that Angela has mentioned, and then Leandra with Prime Store will have some more requirements as part of the RFP that are being incorporated into the site. So when the county put out the NOPA, there were specific requirements about what was required for the project. So we needed to have a grocery store, community serving retail, a transit plaza, metro training center. There's the school that's being run by the Seed Foundation, and there's a parking garage that shares retail and the Seeds. There's a lot going on at the site. We also required specifically 180 units of affordable housing. Within that group, we've breaking it down to have for households for between 30 and 80% AMI, which is about $34,000 to $90,000 a year for a family of 4 based on 2020 limits. And about 94% of our units will be restricted to households below 60% AMI, which is for a family of 4 under $68,000. We will have 62 units of a specific portion for permanent supportive housing for seniors, and then a 118 unit affordable housing component that also includes 30 units of permanent supportive housing, but it's not specifically targeted to seniors. This is kind of a design of the site, the boarding school. So on one portion, we have the shared parking garage between the school and the retail. There's the retail, the transit plaza. I think Leandra will go into more detail, so I won't spend too much time on that. And then basically there's 2 housing components above. And that's where the new 180 units of affordable housing will be located. Just to give you an update on where we are with the housing, we've received the funding, the majority of funding for both components of that. So for the 62 unit project and the 118 unit project, we plan to apply for tax credits and bonds in early 2021. We're waiting to hear back from the state when applications will be accepted for that. But in the meantime, for the senior portion, we've received Los Angeles County Development Authority funds, City of LA Proposition Triple H funding, Affordable Housing Program funds from the Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco, and project-based vouchers. The senior portion has 60 one-bedroom units and then two-bedroom managers units. On the 118 unit affordable housing portion, we received ASIC funding, so Affordable Housing and Sustainable Communities Program funding. There's an infill infrastructure grant program funding's also been received. Project-based vouchers for those 30 permanent supportive housing units, and then we'll have 35 one-bedroom units, 59 two-bedroom units, and 24 three-bedroom units, which also includes 2 managers units. So that's basically an update on where we are with the financing and being able to start for the housing piece. Just to give you a little more background about Bridge, we were started in 1984 as a nonprofit, headquarters in San Francisco. We have satellite offices in Los Angeles, San Diego, Orange County, Portland, and Seattle. We've built over 18,000 units to date on the West Coast, and we have about 4,300 units in pre-development at this time or under construction. We're we're a real estate development company, but we also do property management, asset and portfolio management as well. We have community transformations at scale and a lot of resident programs and services that will also be offered to the future residents of the two housing components of this project as well. A little bit about, now PowerPoint has closed. So I don't know what just happened. We're gonna go back. And I don't know why. Sorry, one second, I have to move my screen real quick. So a little bit about the previous projects that we've worked on. We have a lot of experience with workforce development. So we are one of the developers working along with Prime Store and the Michaels Group for the redevelopment of Jordan Downs for our first phase, which completed construction last year. We had about 58% local hire for 103 jobs, average hourly pay of over $29, and they're about $2.35 million in estimated earnings for residents of the community. We have another large-scale redevelopment going on at Potrero, which is in San Francisco. And for the first phase of that project, we had 105 client job referrals, about 54 job placements, and then case management for a little over 60 applicants who were looking for employment for that development. Inside still include a few photos of projects we've done to date. So this is a picture of Cedar Groves, the first phase at Jordan Downs. Heritage Square is a project we have in Pasadena. Sage Park's project that we have in Gardena in connection with the school. And this is a project that we have in San Diego. So it's COM 22. This is what the initial site looked like when we started. And this is where we are today. It has 3 phases. There's a senior portion and then 2 family portions. And we're also building a home ownership piece in the coming years. So yeah, that's where we are for the housing piece for this project at this point. We'd love to get your opinions and hear what you have to say about as we move forward in the design and moving forward with the project. But I guess the key thing is a lot of the parameters for the number of units were pre-decided by the county NOFA or the county RFP to work on the site. And I will stop sharing my screen at this time.
Thank you, Alexis. It looks like we do have a couple of questions. I'm going to turn it over, or at least we have one question in the chat box. I'm going to turn it over. Do you want me to ask it? I'm going to turn it over to Lisa to field questions your way.
Hello, everyone. We're happy that you can all join us this evening. I think one of the questions that we have in the chat box is regarding the housing, and it's, will the housing units be permanently affordable?
For as long as we are involved with the project, yes, they will all be permanently affordable. We'll have a ground lease with the county. So theoretically, 99 years plus, it could change, but I doubt it. They should all stay affordable for the foreseeable future.
Okay, thank you. I know we have a couple of questions, but they're pertaining to retail, so we're going to be saving those for the retail section. There's another question: will housing applications open to residents in District 8 first?
The housing plan has not been determined at this point, but I think ideally we would want to do it in groups that would originally target people who live in the immediate neighborhood of the site.
Sorry, I muted myself. Here's another question. Are there any plans for open space or landscaping around the site?
Yeah, so there'll be a large transit plaza that I think, Leandro, you're planning to talk through as part of the design.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Lisa. So I think that's a great transition to the retail and commercial space. And so Leandro Tyberd, president and co-founder of Prime Store, will be sharing next.
Okay, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Can I get a thumbs up? Good. I won't ask for an amen until it's done. First, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a terrible presenter because I get really nervous, so bear with me. What we're doing here tonight extremely matters, and we feel that it's extremely important to make sure that we are extremely communicative, transparent, and open with the community about everything that is going on in this project, and that we do it often. So quite frankly, some of you on this call may have already heard a lot of the information that we're presenting. We're simply going to ask that you bear with us a little bit because some of it might be a little bit repetitive, but there's a lot of new people on that we want to make sure get a full understanding of the project. And we will have plenty of time to take questions, not just tonight, but for the next 5 years and beyond. So tonight is not the end of the discussion. It is literally just a continuation. What I'm going to do right now is go ahead and share my screen and hope that that works. Okay, just one second. All right, Alexis, is everybody seeing the screen okay? Thumbs up? Awesome. Okay, so my name's Leandro. I'm president, co-founder of Prime Store Development. We started over 28 years ago in the summer after the riots with my first project in South Los Angeles at 6801 Southwestern. So literally, Prime Store has its roots in South Los Angeles. We are based in Los Angeles. We have many offices, but they're all existing in our people's garages with only one real office in LA. We have the pleasure of working alongside Bridge and the Coalition for Responsible Community Development on this project, and we're very honored to do so. We basically feel that we are facilitators, not developers, and we're here to achieve the goals and the needs of the community on this project. And we're trying to work within the programmatic requirements that were set forth by the county in the request for proposal that was issued in 2018. Tonight, we wanted to focus on an update of where the project stands and especially focus on some of the design parameters. So very important that we talk a little bit about our vision before we talk about any details. Let's talk about the vision on why Prime Store, CRCD, and Bridge came together to attempt this noble endeavor of trying to put this project together that has sat idle for so long. And it was effectively because our visions are aligned. And within our hearts, we effectively share the following, that our vision is based on our goals of attracting a quality full service grocer to the site, attracting quality restaurants and shops to the site, creating entrepreneurial incubation spaces, creating training offices for Metro, creating an inviting and safe pedestrian plaza, providing parking for all the uses, creating a unique development project that the community can be proud of, and as Alexis talked about on the residential side, providing 180 units of quality affordable housing. Some of the restrictions that were set forth in the program from the county were approximately 50,000 square feet of retail, 15,000 square feet for new job training and innovation learning center for Metro, a highly attractive public transit plaza along Vermont, 180 units of affordable housing, parking, structured and underground, and an innovative campus design along with the school. Commitments that we are making both personally, spiritually, and as a company. We're dedicated to local hiring for the construction, local hiring for the tenant businesses that occupy the center, minority business or enterprise participation and focus, union participation through the project labor agreement, business creation opportunities, ongoing plaza activation and events. We're committed to a safe environment and ongoing community outreach and the formation of a community action committee, which we're going to talk a little bit more about later tonight. And most importantly, we believe in doing this with the honesty that is required and is something that we feel strongly about, and doing the very best that we possibly can. A little bit about the schedule. 2018 was the preliminary non-binding agreement with the county called the ENA period. Our goal is to, within the next 3 months, sign our ground lease with the county, begin construction on our side of the project in the third quarter of 2021. So hopefully, no later than October of next year, and ideally complete the construction in the third quarter of 2023. More along the lines of what the RFP program requires, creating jobs and opportunity, increased access to affordable housing and social services, improving public safety, 15% more energy efficient design than is required by code, creating a transit center for pedestrians, bikes, and then the future bus rapid transit line, making sure we have a positive economic development for the area, improve the overall quality of life for the surrounding community, and that 51% of the project must be affordable housing. A couple comments as we begin to talk a little bit about the massing and the design. Some of the inspirations that we talked about from the very beginning of this project on some things that are very meaningful for us. One, we did not want this to be a fortress. So nothing that we call fortress architecture, where the site feels too imposing and does not feel of, for, and by the community. We do not believe in fences. We believe in having a very open environment and managing that in a very safe and effective manner. We want to create and have a creative and inviting open access for all of the community, make sure that it's pedestrian and family friendly, and make sure that the design feels porous and fluid, and that it has high quality architecture and site amenities, and that it of course be sustainable and, God willing, transformative. A little bit drilling into the design concept. So all of us are familiar with the site, one of the great opportunities within this community. And you can see the border of the site encompasses 85th Street. 85th Street is going through a street vacation process, and ultimately a new street will be created that will connect with Manchester. The ground floor layout. Please understand that these are very preliminary concepts. As we bring tenants to the project, they will have opinions in regards to demising walls and some of the interior programming, but the envelope is effectively set within the CEQA guidelines. So that's kind of what we're sharing tonight, is the massing concepts. You can see the parking garage on the east side, the retail building For the Plaza, which we are hoping will be quick serve restaurants or full sit down white tablecloth restaurants, what we're hoping is a community serving cafe in the front. And then on building 1, the ground floor, we will have the retail spaces with primarily the grocer anchor. And depending on the size of the grocer anchor, it will determine how much space we have left over for either a junior anchor, but either way, we do wish to include some forms of entrepreneurial retail and community serving retail as well. This is the 3rd floor. Effectively, there's no really 2nd floor because it's a mezzanine level. So it kind of jumps from 1 to 3. On the 3rd floor are the offices for Metro, for the training center. And over the podium is where the housing component begins. And I'll show you a section of this as well. 4th, 5th, oh look, 5 stories. I'm sorry, it should have said 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th floors. I'm not very good at math, my apologies. But these are the general layouts both for the senior housing and for the family housing, obviously following the same programmatic design and cores. This is a sectional view of the building, and I would like to linger here for a minute just to offer a little bit more clarity of what we're looking at. Over to the left effectively is the interior plaza that faces the school. And we have 2 stories of underground parking, both for the senior housing and for the affordable housing, but also for the retail as well. The retail will take up all of the ground floor. And then on the 3rd floor over here, you can see that we have the Metro offices and then all of the residential units, both to the side of it and beyond, all the way to what is the 7th story. This is an axiometric view of the project that I will also like to linger on a little bit because it offers some degree of perspective in regards to the massing of the building. And what I think this also highlights is one of the design concepts that we wanted to be very stringent upon, which is the open and porous nature. So as you go north on Vermont, we will have the primary bus stop and ultimately, hopefully, the BRT line. This box in the front is the community serving coffee shop or coffee retailer. We will talk a little bit about the plaza design in a minute. The quick serve restaurants or white tablecloth restaurant in the back, both of these are 1 story so that the transitional height is a little bit more respectable with the community as it relates to the street levels. The main bulk massing of the garage is in the rear of the property, and the garage will be accessible both from 85th Street as well as from 84th Street. Have double entry. And will also serve as parking for all components of the project, including the boarding school, which is not masked in this picture, but is effectively here to the left or to the north. And here you can see the unit blocks that relate both to the affordable housing and the senior housing. And then right here on the 3rd floor, you can see the training center offices for Metro with the retail composed on the ground floor plane. This is a sectional view. This is not how we're going to build it, don't worry. We don't want residents just falling out of their windows. But this does offer a nice little snapshot of the sectional diagrams of the project themselves with the retail, underground parking, affordable housing, and offices for Metro. This is another axiomatic rendering view, but aiming northwest. So you can see the new street that we're creating as a connector to 85th Street. We're making sure that all service and loading is away from the residents off of this alley, and that it's basically a respectful design to not show all of the service and loading to the primary vista on Vermont and the garage itself right here. The other porous design that we wanted is for somebody driving down 85th Street to effectively be able to see all the way through the plaza, and for local residents and pedestrians to be able to walk from one side of the plaza to the other without having any fencing or barriers. The next two slides is we're going to talk a little bit about one of the questions that was actually posed by Jairi, I hope I'm saying that correctly, in regards to the landscaping and plaza design. Here in this picture, you can see the primary shapes related to the programmatic blocks of the project: the garage, the retail 2 building, the coffee shop, the anchor, and the school. And let's talk a little bit more about these concepts. Here's a detail of the actual plaza design. So, what were some of the concepts that we thought about when we were looking with the design team for the plaza? We wanted to incorporate artwork, whether it's related to public art components or community-driven art components, or even metro-provided art components. We want this to be a very serene, templative, usable, friendly plaza that is actually a repository for expressions of the community, and that it is used by the community. We want this to be highly attractive and be something that we're all extremely proud of. To that end, we are designing it with a very sincere layer of multi-textured hardscapes. So it will not just be concrete. It'll have very, very many different kinds of forms of textures and materials so that it feels like a very unique environment. It will have a plethora of outdoor seating throughout the project. And not just in front of the retail. We really want this to be activated throughout the whole component. And also, in the age of COVID, opportunities where there is room for safe distancing as you eat, but also as pods. And something that we're also very proud of are these concepts that we call grassy berms. So effectively, these are 45-degree grass berm areas that go up to retaining walls about 4 feet high, where you can really just enjoy your community. You can sit there, read a book, enjoy. We would like to offer programming related to the community. In fact, this would be a wonderful place to actually host community meetings, meetings related to the residents, meetings related to the housing. We do want there to be a very robust outdoor music system, but also opportunities where we could have performance artists or local jazz artists, or maybe other forms if not everybody loves jazz as much as I do, that can actually perform here in the plaza on the berms, or in a central repository area that they could actually plug in their speakers and their sound equipment. We do want there to be a very prominent coffee shop, ideally a local coffee shop, that will offer some of the community programming as well, and that will effectively spill over into the property so that there's a little bit more contiguousness between one and the other. And as you can see, we do want to create connectivity with the school as well. So both from a sightline perspective, but also actually from a hardscape perspective. I think we're very proud of where this is headed. It's important to say this is not the final design. This is a preliminary concept that we're trying to use as a thought provoker to make sure that the design team is understanding some of the things that we're looking for. And then of course, this item 15 still needs to be designed, but we want there to be a significant shade structure that offers some protection for the people waiting at the bus shelter, but also as something of an art element that kind of acts as a signature for the project. So people, as they drive by, as they look at this as an icon, that it's something that is very unique and beautiful. I will stop sharing my screen and open the floor to a couple questions and answers. Just one second. There is one question that I already saw from Jairi that I'd like to address, if that's okay, Angela.
Go for it. Yeah, we have, I think what we're going to do is take one question, and then there's a lot of questions that we can, you know, bring forward during the more robust Q&A section. So yeah.
I will only answer one question and then shut up. I think one of the primary questions that everyone's asking is, who's the frickin' grocer? And the answer is, we don't know yet. So as I mentioned, we're facilitators. Our job is to speak with every grocer out there and attract them to this project. That's what we do for a living. And I would, as we also said, we have to be 100% transparent and honest throughout this whole process. We don't have a grocer yet. It's a requirement. It's why we're here, and it must be done. We did get traction with 4 grocers prior to COVID, but unfortunately right now, a lot of the tenant community has their head in the ground and is not really willing to make decisions. So we are pushing forward as aggressively as we can, both as a company and as a team, to make sure that we do attract a quality, full service produce-based grocer that the community can be proud of, but we do not have one at this time. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you, Leandro. There are a lot of really great questions in the chat box and in the Q&A box. Keep them coming. As mentioned, you know, we have a whole section in the agenda just to do Q&A and just to have that conversation. So at this time, I'm gonna give the floor over to Maria, Kenyon, and Ashley to share more about the LA Metro component, the training center.
One quick second. All right, can everyone see the screen?
Perfect.
Awesome. All right, let me go back. Hi, everyone. My name is Maria Miliandes, and I am joined by Ashley Mack and Kenyon Price, and we represent LA Metro, and we're here today to share a little bit about the Training and Innovation Center, give you a little bit more about our vision for this center and how we intend to partner with the community and the team here to bring this resource to South LA. So I'll hand it off to Ashley if you want to introduce yourself and your role in this project.
Hi, my name is Ashley Mack. I'm a project manager at Metro in the project management department. My role in the Metro Learning Center, Training Center is mainly project manager, but overseeing the design portion of it. So working with the contractor, the consultant, I'm sorry, that's we're bringing on board to help design the facility, and also just making sure that Metro's needs are met and also the community's needs are met within this training facility.
Thank you, Ashley. Kenyon, you want to introduce yourself? Kenyon, you're on mute.
I think we might need to unmute Kenyon. Hold on, let me just look in the. Okay, Kenyon, can you test your microphone real quick?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, awesome, thank you.
All right, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Kenyon Price. I'm the senior manager with Metro in the program management department. And I think I have the least attractive role on the team. I guess you could say I'm just the workhorse. I've been leading the charge and had the opportunity to work with Leandro and his team to negotiate the development agreements that would allow Ashley and Maria's vision to come to fruition So I've been working very closely with the Prime Star team, and we're hoping that we can finalize negotiations on those agreements very soon. But we are working diligently to help see the vision of this training center to fruition. So we're excited about that. Thank you.
Very good. All right. And as I mentioned, my name is Maria Miliandes, and I'm the Deputy Executive Officer of Next Generation Programs for LA Metro. And that is an extension of our Human Capital and Development Department, which is HR. And so we are partnering with program management to bring this innovation center to life. And then we're also partnering with the Seed Foundation and XSED on the school development side. So let me go ahead and advance the screen here. And just to start, to provide some vision and some context for the Training and Innovation Center. And really, we want to bring the state-of-the-art facility to promote relevant job training and innovation in the field being transportation infrastructure and beyond. And so really, we want to align curriculum development for synergy within Metro's workforce demands, but also taking a look at potential partnerships with other public agencies, community-based organizations, community colleges, and really our strategic partnerships that we already have with the community, and seeing how we can come together to provide workforce development opportunities for the communities and residents across Los Angeles. And so really, the next thing that I want to share with you is how we're looking to link this training center to the community and our workforce at Metro. And the first, of course, enhancing the success of potential candidates. And so utilizing the Learning Center, the Transit Innovation Center, for courses, whether it's resume preparation, interview workshops, on-site recruitment. And in this new age of COVID, even if it is access to hardware or online access, to have access to these courses. For our existing employees, we currently have about 719 Metro employees that live within a 2-mile radius of this site. And 75% of which are African American, 20% Hispanic. And so it's taking a look at how we can bring workforce development opportunities to our existing employees that may live in the area. Of course, we have agency-wide mandatory trainings that may be online, but again, providing access to either hardware or online connectivity for our existing workforce. And then we have a very robust tuition reimbursement program at LA Metro. And so possibly we are looking at potentially partnering with our community colleges or colleges that offer on-site courses to provide just more access to professional development and college attainment. And then as far as the community education and engagement piece, again, looking at this center as more of a center for career fairs, job fairs, youth and adult programming, and then just an overall resource center. I know I heard Leandro talk about a meeting space. And so really this initial vision is really just looking at a holistic approach that's practical and provides tangible resources for the community. And so I want to go ahead and pause here and talk and have Kenyon talk a little bit about his role in the design piece, and then we'll have Ashley talk about her vision and the work that she's doing with the actual design of the center itself. Kenyon, I'm not sure if you're still unmuted, but the floor is yours.
I am. Not really much to add to that, other than working closely with Ashley, and again, as I mentioned earlier, with the Prime Star team to try to hone down on the design elements and potential uses for the space, and then making sure that the Learning Center is integrated adequately into the overall development, and that again achieves the vision of Metro as an innovative space within the community. That's it.
All right, thank you. Ashley? Horses?
Yep. We can probably go to the next slide now. So again, the design of the space. So I've been working closely. We've hired some local designers from the South LA community, helping us with the creative aspect of it and just really getting an understanding for the community as well, to implement in the space what the community needs are and how we collaborate that with the Metro's need and Metro's workforce need as well. Some of the things we've been thinking about, these are, well, I'll back up. The space is about a 15,000 square foot space. In that space is mostly made up of flexible meeting spaces or conference spaces or training spaces. So we want to make it as flexible as possible so that the needs can be met for not only Metro's needs, but also the community's needs as far as all the classes and courses that and programs that Maria's mentioned. We thought a lot about the exterior. We really want to make sure that this not only has the Metro branding, but also is incorporated with the development design and the community design as well. And then we've also thought about sustainability is a big piece and educating people as they come in about the sustainable elements that will be featured in the training center. So that pretty much takes care of some of those things. It will of course be a secured lobby. Metro HR, like I said, will be the ones that are facilitating this training center. And so allowing them to have check-in desk so that people who are supposed to be there, the people that are spearheading these classes, you know, can check in and their people are all arrived, everybody's safe, making sure that the place is safe and also welcoming for everybody. We've thought about putting in a communal kitchen. I call it a communal kitchen because it's not really a kitchen, but if you're in an 8-hour training session, you're able to take your break at this open space, sit down, make your phone calls, get onto your laptop, you know, do your emails. We've all been in those type of day-long training classes. There'd be a place to store your lunch, or if your training class is providing lunch, then there'll be a place for you to grab your lunch and eat and communicate and commune with the other people in your class as well, make those connections. The next slide. Keep going, I think it's just another picture. Okay. Yep, and like again, a meeting spaces. So we just wanna make sure these spaces are as flexible as possible. So that like I said before, get the training, the education workshops, they have all the technology that they need in each space. The space is adaptable in size to meet the needs for each space. If you're having a class of 50 versus a class of 10, you know, the spaces can be moved to be smaller, the larger rooms, and there are smaller communal rooms as well. So just making that sure it's flexible as possible, that audio visual things are provided, enough outlets, you know, to people to plug in laptops. And also for the presenters as well, having all of those needs, we want to make sure that it has the high tech, meets all the high tech needs for today's technology and the future technology as well, and just implementing all those things so that different training styles can be equipped here. So that's about it.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing my screen. I did.
I can't hear you.
Ready?
We can hear you.
Okay, yeah. Now I can hear you.
So I saw in the chat about if LA Metro has training centers of this sort anywhere in the county, and no, this is the first of its kind. And so we're looking at how can we truly make it effective. And as Ashley mentioned, you know, we're trying to be intentional about who we partner with and how we can really make this meet the needs, not just technology, but as we're kind of in this middle space of transition with COVID, how can we look ahead so that we are serving and connecting the dots as far as workforce development is concerned for the jobs of tomorrow.
Great. Thank you, LA Metro team. Like, you know, this project looks amazing. We're so excited, you know, that Metro is a partner on this development in more than one way. So I want to kind of keep us moving because there are so many great questions in the chat box and in the Q&A. I can't wait to get to our Q&A section. And so let's transition over to Nilura Bell, who's going to be sharing about the seed school portion of the project and giving those updates. And after Nilura goes, we are going to talk about the Vermont Manchester Community Advisory or Action Council. And so I know there's recommendations in the chat that we should totally have a subcommittee for certain things, and that's what the council is for. So it's really cool to hear kind of what folks would like to see that council work on. Very cool. Keep those recommendations coming. So I'm going to turn it over to Nilura to lead us on the presentation for the school. Nilura, if you're talking, we cannot hear you. Let me see if I can unmute. Does that work?
Yeah, there I'm unmuted, and I started with the wrong screen, so I'm going to stop share for a minute and get my screen back together. Sorry about that. I thought I had it queued up. Maybe it was running while I was talking. Hold on. All right, let me go again here. Start from beginning. Okay. Well, you guys are not seeing my screen yet, right? No?
No, not yet. While you're getting that set up, Nilura, I just want to encourage panelists, if you feel so moved or comfortable, you're welcome to respond directly into the chat box or in the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen to any of the questions. So just feel free to do that, and we will raise as many of the questions as we can today.
Okay, now let's try this again. And we'll just start from the beginning. All right, can you all see my screen now? You can see it now. Thank you. Sorry about that. I think I had queued it up and it went. So again, my name is Nilura Bell, and I am the Director of Facility Financing with XED, and we partnered with the Seed Foundation over 2 years ago to respond to the county's RFP to develop a boarding charter school on the Vermont Manchester site. So we responded and were the successful respondent, and so have been working diligently over the last 2 years to make it happen, and we're getting close. Got a lot of good news for you this evening. So today I'm gonna, we did a presentation or a webinar in June where we spent a lot of time and details on our design and about the school. So I'm gonna just give some updates and an overview, and to give a little context for people that weren't with us in June to kind of set the level of the playing field. So I'm going to talk about the school overview, the charter petition, the schedule, and our subcontracting informational event. So for those of you that don't know, the Seed School of Los Angeles will be the first public charter boarding school in California, in Los Angeles, excuse me. There are some in the state. It'll be for what we call resilient youth, and those are youth that have been assisted with the county's different service systems, youth, foster youth, youth struggling with homelessness, family members have been incarcerated, or any other range of services that the county provides. And the Seed is a 24-hour-a-day, 5-day-a-week school. So the students come on Sunday evenings and they go home on Friday afternoons. And so it just allows a more intensive educational model with wraparound supportive services. So the purpose of the school, again, is to provide an enhanced educational model for resilient youth. And I think that Maria already alluded to, we're partnering with Metro to provide a career and college pathway in the transportation infrastructure industry. And again, to prepare youth in communities and other underserved communities with an opportunity to be aware of and be trained for the over 778,000 jobs that are expected to be created in the industry over the next 40 years. And the good news is that a little over almost 2 months ago now, we did get our charter petition approved. It's like a 700-page document. So it's a lot of arduous underwriting and, you know, crossing your I's and dotting your T's, and a lot of California charter legislation and processes. But we are happy that the LA County Office of Education, and so we are a county-wide charter, so it was approved in July. And then just a little bit just on design. Again, our architects went into our design in detail at the June meeting, but this is just for your overview, a depiction of what the campus is gonna look like. And then there's just like the interior court over it, and you can see where it says dining hall over to your right. There's going to be a dining hall on campus, and you can see on the top the rooftop sports court that we'll be having at the site as well. And then just in terms of the programming, you'll see that it's about 147,000 square feet, dedicated to classroom, administration building, the dining hall that I showed you, and you can see the dining hall rendering to your left. And it will also have a over 9,000 square foot gym that the school intends to make available to the community for use as well. And then there'll be 20 units of residential units for the staff and faculty of the school. So at the seed schools, some of the faculty live on campus, and then of course the students need residential advisors and student life counselors for the evening program. And there'll be 170 rooms to serve the 400 students that we're gonna have. So it'll be a combination of 2s and 3s to accommodate all of the students. And then just to let you know kind of where we are in terms of our building the school, we submitted our 85% drawings for permit approval in July, early July, got them back a couple of weeks ago, and are working to make the final corrections so that we can move towards pulling the permit in October of this year. But before we do that, we are going to be out on the site soon. We had thought it would be earlier, but we have a construction schedule change. And so in September, we will begin the utility work. So they're going to be undergrounding most of the overhead utilities that are currently on Vermont, and then preparing the different internet, fiber, and all that we need for the building to be functional. And then we want to close our financing in November, December of this year. We had gotten slowed down a little bit with the pandemic, but within the last 3 or 4 weeks, things have really picked up, and a lot of funder interest in the project, and we're having to raise between $20 and $25 million in philanthropy to build the school, but we're getting close, and so we are confident that we'll be able to close in December and start construction on the project. And then it's a 22-month construction period, and we plan to open the school in the fall of 2022. And I know if we start in December, that doesn't quite meet it, so we might have to start at a temporary location. We probably will. And Seed has experience in doing that at some of their other locations. And then lastly, I just wanted to say, I did say we were gearing up and getting ready for construction. So in that regard, we plan to hold on September 9th a pre-bid informational event. Our contractor is Bernard's Construction, who was hired early in the project because we had a need to do a design build construction project so that we wouldn't get to this point and then have to wait another 3 to 4 months to bid the project. They've been with us since last July. They've been helping us value engineer the project so that we could get it within the budget that we have available to us to build it. So, but now they're ready to go out and find subcontractors to help them build the building. So in that regard, on September 9th, there's going to be an event, and the flyer should come out tomorrow, but here's a preview of the information. And if you have bid questions, you're welcome to call Bernard, and they will tell you how to access the bid documents. And this is just some of our handles that we've developed. Our Seed LA website is up and functioning. We're still working on refining it and making some improvements, but we do have it, and we can be contacted if you have questions. And then this is just how we look in the city of LA, and we're kind of tickled with that. We think it looks cool down on Vermont and Manchester. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, I'm totally cognizant of time right now. So we have Louis and Lisa kind of monitoring the Q&A and chat boxes. Louis or Lisa, do you want to share? I think we have time for one question to Nilura right now, and then we're going to take the rest of the question, as many of the questions as we can during Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
I have one question from the chat. There's a couple of questions regarding the Seed School. My question is, what is Seed's commitment to recruiting and admitting young people from the Vermont Manchester community? We haven't seen much traffic or information going out into the Vermont Manchester community.
We're very committed to doing that, and as a matter of fact, in the charter petition, and we had to get the petition approved with this understanding, and there was some negotiation about it. We did ask to be able to have a preference for residents of the Vermont Manchester community. So we will be able to, because you're a charter school, you have to have, by California state law, you have to have a lottery. So every applicant has to go in the pool at the same time, but we were able to get the ability to have preferences so that we can do a weighted lottery. So like if you're in the Vermont Manchester area, you get 2 tickets rather than 1 ticket, something like that, so that you have a better chance of getting in the school.
I have a question. Q&A.
Great.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Louis.
Will the school project include input from professionals from our community as far as student selection, instructors, counselors hired, and the subject matter to be taught?
Laura, you're on mute still.
We will be doing curriculum development and outreach for staffing and all of that, but we intend to make connections with different organizations in the community and throughout the county, again, because the county committed a significant amount of money to operate the school beyond what we get from the state for regular education, so for the boarding component. So we will be reaching out to develop connections to help us with both outreach and staffing and with the development of the programming for the school.
Thank you, Nilura. So one more topic before we move on to a more full Q&A section of the agenda. So I just want to share, this was something that kind of came up a little bit during earlier portions of the workshop. And so we are establishing a Vermont Manchester Community Advisory or Action Council. And the scope of work for the council is really to provide insight to inform decisions regarding the project throughout the development process until the project opens. Members of the council will be able to share information on the project with their networks as well. So we were really intentional about thinking through representation on the council. I see in the attendees box that a lot of council members are actually joining us today, which is wonderful. Part of our approach for this council, when it comes to representation, is really ensuring that there's a mix of constituents. And so we have 25 seats on the council. the group that has the largest number of seats, which is 6 seats, are for residents. And so we really wanted to prioritize seats for residents, for local business owners, for local nonprofits, local religious organizations. We have representatives from the supervisor's office as well as the council member's office, as well as a seat for Metro. We are also thinking through, and this will be more of a discussion with the council, about what representation around public safety really looks like on the council. Not just for from the perspective of public safety as it relates to the design of the project, but I think there's just a desire to have conversations about public safety and what that looks like for the whole development, given that we're not just going to have residents and retail and folks coming to the community, coming from the community to kind of access those different resources. We also have a school on site, and so that does change some of that dynamic. So as far as like goals around public safety, we are committed to making sure that the built environment supports safety, but that we're also intentional about conversations and hearing what the community wants to see around public safety. I think we want to make sure that the space itself is a safe space for residents who live there, but also residents in the community who are shopping there, who are frequenting, the retail that will be there, who are getting training at the Metro, Training and Innovation Center, and who are also going to school and living there, right, as our students who will be there. I think broadly, we want to make sure that the space is safe. As far as what that looks like, that's going to be more of a discussion. We know we want to have that discussion with the council, so there will be more around that. As far as kind of shifting back to the council a little bit, we're really excited that we'll have a council. They're going to be starting to meet next week. All the input that we're hearing from this workshop and for the next 3 workshops, the council is actually going to be able to receive all that information, and so that we have more information to inform decisions on the project as those decisions need to be made. And so I do just want to acknowledge that that we are very committed to having continuous community engagement and input throughout the project. I think we've seen some really great recommendations around what some of the work that the council can also do around, selecting and vetting and, giving input on artwork and local artists, really taking a look at, who we're vetting for, for the different retailers and things like that. So we're really excited to have a range of representation on the council. I'm gonna pause right there because I know we started to talk a little bit, I started to mention public safety a little bit. I wanna make sure that, I just wanna reiterate that that this is going to be a discussion. This is going to be a topic that requires more discussion with partners, with stakeholders, in order to really put together a public safety plan that is not just responsive to the needs of folks who are living in the development, whether it's in the affordable housing or in the school, or having businesses on the development, but also what the impact is to the broader community. So I know that's not a lot around public safety, but I just want to share our commitment to community kind of engagement around public safety and what that will look like on the site. So for all you council members who have joined today, you can see that we've got a lot to discuss and work on. So I don't want to take too much time on that, and I want to make sure that we have, you know, the most time to really start fielding questions. I see that there's at least one hand up. And also we have a participant who is only joining over the phone. And so I want to open that line for that specific person, you know, because they can't type in their questions in the chat box or anything like that. And so the person, I'm gonna unmute your line, and you have the floor for the next 2 minutes to ask your questions to the team. And please introduce yourself. Oh, did that not work? Unmute. Okay, so I'm really trying to unmute this right now. Unmute the person right now, but it's not letting me do that. Okay, we're gonna keep trying to do this. I'm sorry, I thought that was just gonna work. And so we're gonna keep trying to do that. And in the meantime, I'm gonna turn it over to Louis to share questions to the presenters from the Q&A box. Folks, just so you know, so Louis is gonna field some questions over to the presenters. If you have follow-up questions specific to what is being shared, type it in the chat box, and Lisa's going to share any follow-up questions based on the responses of the panelists. Okay, so let me try one more time if I can unmute our lovely person who is joining over the phone. It's not letting me. Okay, I'm going to keep trying this. Louis, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. I have a couple of questions related to the grocery store. What type of grocery store are they considering, since acquiring healthy produce has been a problem in the inner city area?
I will take that. This is Leandro. So first and foremost, the project requires that we bring in a quality grocer that provides fresh produce and services for the community. That's what we have to do. We have to speak with everybody out there, and some of the commentary that we're seeing on the screen is very helpful. So there are actually some names here about supermarket that Octavio mentioned. Was it Octavio? I'm sorry. Oscar mentioned that I have not reached out to, or our leasing team has not reached out to. Same with the South LA Co-op. I don't think we've reached out to them yet either. The more people we attract to the project, the better in regards to potential tenancies. All we know is that it must be fresh, quality produce. I hope that answers the question.
Okay. Next question. What is Metro's plan to go green? Will the Vermont BRT lines be 100% green?
Yeah, so I fielded that question. I will definitely, I don't have the answer because it is part of our operations department, but I will circle back. Ashley, did you want to talk about, is Ashley still on the line? I'm not sure. She has babies, so I wanted to.
I am. I'm actually driving to pick them up, so I'm just listening.
Can you share a little bit about the green space and the LED certification as far as the design of the centers is concerned?
Yeah, so the design of the center, we have decided to actually try to achieve LEED Gold. So we've looked at different materials, different systems to incorporate that into the center. It's actually falls under LEED Gold interior design and construction. And so we looked at solar panels on the exterior, on the glass that are incorporated in the glass. We looked at smart glass tinting. We've looked at green wall system to incorporate gray water system, different things like that. A building augmentation system that kind of monitors the HVAC, lighting, the and all the different systems within the comfort of the training center. So we've definitely taken a deep look at that and kind of checked off the boxes during design, what we can achieve, what are achievable points for us, and incorporating that. And we have also thought about putting different placards around the training centers to give you know, just an overview for people so they can be educated on what are the sustainable features as they come and walk through the space as well. So that's something else we're doing as an educational part so that people can learn about the space.
Thank you. And we'll circle back. I'm not sure if it's with Angela or Leandro, but as far as the BRT question, we'll get the information and circle back.
There's another question from Metro. Does Metro
Maria.
have similar training centers in the county?
Yeah, I think I answered that earlier, and no, this is the first learning center of its kind that's looking at am I muted or can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. So yes, this is the first project and learning center of this kind that Metro's been involved in.
Okay, here's the next question. I'm president of one of the two neighborhood councils in the area. One of the challenges community groups face are updated spaces in which they can hold meetings. We would love to be able to offer suggestions about the design.
I got your email. I saw that earlier. If you can give me your email in the chat, I'll be sure to circle back with you. Thank you.
Okay, this is a school question. The county-wide aspect of the school is concerning for the Vermont Manchester community in terms of recruiting. To date, SEED has not focused its communications in this community. My question is, what is SEED's commitment to recruiting and admitting young people from the Vermont Manchester area?
Laura, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, you guys. I'm here. So we actually have hired a community engagement specialist, Arna Fulcher, and I know that she's gone around and met with a number of the different communities, as well as some of the rest of us have gone to meetings with various entities in the communities. We know that we're not finished. That was a start and that was a beginning, but we intend to do that with much more vigor as we go forward after getting the petition done and after having raised the money for the school. But in terms of it being a county-wide school, I think I mentioned earlier that in our petition, we did ask for a priority preference in our lottery for residents of the Vermont Manchester area. So we did ask for that, but again, we did go for the county-wide designation so that we could be broader to serve the resilient youth that the entire County Board of Supervisors wants to serve in exchange for the amount of money that they gave us to operate the school. But again, we did put a 50% preference for Vermont Manchester residents.
Next question. How will small business participants be determined?
Leandro, I think the question would, how would small business participants be determined?
The question is, how can small businesses be determined? The answer is by calling us. The truth of the matter is we need tenants for this project. We want tenants for this project, and we would really prefer that they be local and preferably Black or brown. That would be ideal. We want this project to be of, for, and from the community. And since we are also going to be designing this so that we could ultimately manage the property, we intend to invest our own dollars into this project and effectively stay as a part of the fabric of the community for, hopefully, until my kids are grown up. And what that basically means is that we're committing to this project and we need the local participation of the community to help. I had put in the chat board some tools that we offer for small businesses, whether it's through tenant improvement allowance dollars or access to capital through the Small Business Association grant dollars. This is effectively what we do for a living, is trying to help local businesses be a part of our projects. And our company is effectively only focused on urban inner city projects. Currently, we manage about 3 million square feet in Los Angeles. This is home for us. And we are very, very caring about making sure that people are included. So please reach out to us.
What type of safety measures will be implemented considering the national status and friction between law enforcement and communities of color?
I'm willing to try to tackle that. You know, first and foremost, we are not creating a police substation here. Second, we don't want this to feel like a fortress. This is meant to be a community-driven process. All of the projects that we develop, operate, and manage are managed by our team very intimately, whether it's Chesterfield Square at Western and Slauson, or our previous experience with Baldwin Hills Crenshaw, or the Paul Revere Williams building at Western and Adams, or you know, the countless projects that we've done in South LA, and currently just finishing up. In fact, tomorrow we open up the Nike Watts community store in Watts. Literally tomorrow it opens. All of the projects are managed by us, and we want our service providers to be hired from the community. The concept of having our tenants hire from the community and then having our service vendors be from the community is a company philosophy that we want to stick to. So ultimately, we would prefer to have local landscaping companies, local security companies. What we're going to try to design is a place that has the concepts of crime prevention as an integral part of the design. You know, basically not building buildings with columns that people can hide behind, keeping things porous enough so that it could be visited, excuse me, not visited, viewed from all angles by the people. And then ultimately, one of the best preventers of crime is having the project be activated. This would be in my opinion, a failure if at 8:22 p.m. the project just goes dark at night and everything turns off. We need this to be activated both with community program marketing, as well as the vibrancy of the tenants. Ultimately, the other, and this is the last thing I'll say, the last tool that we have found is not only hiring security from the community is an optimum tool, but what we also like to do at our company is create this concept of an ambassadors program where the ambassadors are effectively a part of the day porter team and then acting as a welcomer to the community, but that they're from the community and they take pride in their community and that they know the community and are employees of Prime Store, not service vendors. So we actually try to create some kind of a path of growth for them to then excel in our organization over time as well. I'll stop talking.
Another question. This is for the C school. If it could be quantified in percent, how much will the C school focus recruiting in the Vermont Manchester community versus county-wide?
Well, our goal is a minimum of 50%. That's what we wrote in the charter petition. But in order to, I mean, what SEED has done in its other locations is that we would focus most of our recruiting effort in the Vermont Manchester area so that we get more students from that area. But again, we do have a commitment to the Board of Supervisors to market countywide. But again, we have a commitment for a minimum of 50% of residents from the Vermont Manchester area.
Okay. Another question I have are kind of redundant. I think you answered them, but I can ask them again. No, okay.
I'm okay, but she's.
Let's focus on new questions. Shelley, do you want to turn it over to? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I've been monitoring the chat and trying to keep up with the answers. So the chat's been very active. I want to let you all know We might not get to everything that was in the chat, but my name is Lisa at CRCD, Lisa Winkle, and I'm going to do my best to make sure that I have answers to send out to you with the FAQ and the recording of this video, so that if we don't get to it here, I'm going to do my best to make sure you get an answer. I think a few of the things have already been addressed, which would be the green space. Leandro addressed that in talking about the design. There's been a few questions about local hire. So I'm not sure who to direct that to, who's going to be the first source in the hiring system for the targeted job opportunities for local residents, and who's the job coordinator for local hire, and whether or not we could commit to hiring local artists to create the artwork. So I don't know if that would be Leandro or Angela, if one of you want to take that.
I'll just simply state that we are absolutely would love to work with local artists on this project. We are intimately involved with projects where we work with cultural affairs at the city. In fact, in our project in Jordan Downs, we created 3 community art murals done by local artists. It's something that we've done effectively on every project we've ever done. And my mom is an artist, so she'll kill me if we don't do that. And then in regards to local hiring, it's simply an absolute requirement, not just because of the nature of our agreement with the county, but because of the philosophies of CRCD, Bridge, and Prime Store. And I believe, and I very much trust that SEED is the same way as well. This is something that is just in our DNA and is required. Alexis had hinted at their success in Jordan Downs at 71% local hire. On our retail portion, our requirement from the Housing Authority was 30%, and we ended up actually hitting 90%, which is something we're very proud of. So we do add covenants within our leases that they must hire first from the community locally. And then as an ongoing covenant within those leases that we audit those per year. And once again, we're going to be the management company holding the tenants and ourselves accountable to the community and the representatives of the Community Advisory Council.
So is the RFP agreement the same as it was with Jordan Downs? That's one of the other questions that came up.
No, 100% different. Jordan Downs is under the jurisdiction of the City of Los Angeles, and this project is under the sovereign jurisdiction of the County of Los Angeles. So technically they are different agreements. What makes both projects similar is that both projects are ground lease structures where ultimately the public owns the land and we own the improvements for a limited period of time. No, we do not actually have a requirement for public art components. It's just we demand that we do, but that's an internal demand.
Okay. Thank you.
I just want to highlight that the workshop that actually is going to be next on Wednesday, September 16th, it's going to focus all on local hire. So if you want to, have more of a discussion about local hire, that's the workshop to go to as well.
All right, here's a question for Alexis, I think. What is planned for future maintenance in terms of financing and commitment? Is it built into the ground lease?
To keep it affordable.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, the ground lease for the housing components will require affordability for the next 55 years after the project is complete. And then general maintenance will be managed by Prime Store for the Transit Plaza and the surrounding area. Do you want to add something to that, Leandro?
Can you ask again? I'm so busy typing on the chat sheet that I
know, and I'm trying to keep up. I'm trying to keep up with what's being answered in the chat. So if you guys are looking at it, know that I'm trying to see if your question was already been answered.
What was the question?
They wanted to know what is planned for future maintenance in terms of financing and commitment, and is it built into the ground lease?
Thank you for that question. I think that was Jairi's question. It is 1 billion % factored into not only the ground lease structure, but what we call the common area maintenance pools. So obviously we are required with our anchor tenants to create market rate terms. As a part of those lease terms, each tenant will be paying into a common area maintenance expense so that a part of their rental actually will go towards contributing to the maintenance of the project. So it's absolutely baked in, but that's exactly why we need tenants, so that they can help pay for the CAMs.
Right. Okay. I know that there were a lot of questions about security. I'm hoping that everybody has answered them in their few comments. We know that that's part of a much larger conversation that still needs to be had. This is our first, well, one of our first conversations in being able to give you the actual layout, and this is what it's going to look like. COC wants to know, how do we plan on having community input versus security presence that will agitate community members? I think that we just talked about. Angela, if you want to take that one.
I'll just kind of repeat that we're definitely committed to having a community conversation about public safety. That is going to be a topic that we have more discussion with the council. I think there were in the chat box, I think Leandro had actually also responded to one of the questions about whether I think it was coming from Jolly, that we do not want LAPD or a sheriff office on site, and we promise this will not happen. That is not the intent. It is not meant. That is our promise to the community, that that's not going to happen. But as far as I think more broadly, you know, public safety issues will be an ongoing topic as we move forward with the development.
Okay. For Metro, there has been a question here when we're talking about security, wanting to know if about having police on the site, and wanting to know if Metro is committing to not having police on the site.
Yeah, so as far as our initial vision, it's in alignment with what Leandro mentioned. We haven't discussed any involvement with LAPD. If we do have security, it would be our own Metro security, just, you know, maybe overnight hours, but definitely nothing including Sheriff's Department or LAPD. So yes, we're in alignment.
Thank you. Nilura?
Yes.
There's a couple of questions for SEED. Is PDA Consultants the job coordinator for SEED development contractor Bernard's?
Yes.
Okay. Whoever wanted to know that, the answer is yes. How is the curriculum being decided upon? Will the students be provided with nutritious meals? And what's the training for the staff going to look like? And are they going to be trauma informed?
Yes, because that's the work that SEED does in its other schools. It works with students that have had, you know, traumatic experiences. So it is about wraparound service, trauma-informed training. The earlier question about the curriculum. SEED has a curriculum based on, you know, the schools it operates now that we kind of bought into, and it will be tweaked for the local Los Angeles environment and the A through G requirements that we have to meet because we're a school in the state of California. But to the extent, and of course I've already mentioned that it will also have the transportation careers focus as well. So to the extent that we can adapt and get input from that, then we will. And I think I overlooked an earlier question.
Is there going to be a cost to students should they be accepted into the boarding school?
No, everything is free. Room and board is free. They don't pay anything. They don't pay anything. And I know the other question now is, will they get nutritious meals? Absolutely, they will get nutritious meals. I mean, they get nutritious meals. They learn about nutritious eating, nutritious cooking. So that's all a part of the program. There'll actually be a food services coordinator, and that will be one of the opportunities for a local business, should they be interested. That will be one of the third-party contractors that SEED will hire to service food to the students. They will get 3 meals a day, snacks, and what have you.
Is your organization familiarizing itself with residents prior to establishing the school, and what's the target population for the students? There was another question too about whether or not you're concerned about the students that don't live in the community, and when they go home for the weekends, just learning, helping them assimilate into the community.
We're not concerned about it based on Seed's prior experience. I think in Maryland and in Miami, they work wider than just a smaller community. In Maryland, they're all over the state. And what they do is they want the students to go back into their communities, but take back to their communities the skills that they've learned and how to operate in stress situations, confrontational situations, how to safely and keep themselves safe. So they don't, that's why the students go home on weekends and they come back. So they don't keep them, and they haven't had experience where students that don't live immediately in the area where their schools are located, in the case of Maryland and Miami, are wrecking havoc throughout the schools. That's not what's happening there. Once the kids come because they want a better education, they want a better life, they want opportunities that they're not getting in traditional schools. They want that additional support, that additional services, that additional participation from the faculty above and beyond the 8 to 5 school day. So that's why they come to the school. Students are not sent here. They and their parents have to want to come to the Seed School.
Right. Thank you, Laura. Here's a question about the RFP deadline. Is that September 9th? And
you mean that's for me?
The RFP for, and I'm not sure who's submitting RFPs.
I think it's for the bid, for the bids for Seed. And I think Nelora, you had actually shared that there's going to be a presentation.
Yeah, so the deadline isn't September 9th. September 9th is the date at which the contractor is going to let interested parties know what subcontractors they're looking for, and then interested subcontractors will have until October 9th to respond.
Thank you. Just a little bit, Angela, if you could talk about the community action, the community council. So how will that council be chosen? Are you going to be including young people from South LA, especially since there's a boarding school there?
Great question. So the representation of the council, we've actually been working closely with different groups to identify folks in the different folks to sit on the council. So we reached out to the supervisor's office and to the council member's office. We also reached out to Coco and the South Central by South Central group, many of whom are filling the resident seats. There were 2 requirements, well, like I would say 3 requirements. So we recruited someone specifically also from one of the local block clubs. I want to say it's the 92nd Street Block Club. And for the residents, we wanted to make sure that 1 seat was specifically a young person. So, and we defined that as someone between the ages of like 18 and 25. You know, so, you know, not so far from the high school age, but also since there are a few units that are set aside on the affordable housing side, specifically for young people, that's kind of the age range there. And then we also have a seat that's specifically set aside for someone who identifies as a senior. So those are a couple of ways that we're ensuring representation, is by reaching out to community groups to make those recommendations. If you are, I think there was a question about like if you're a resident and you wanted to see how you could get involved. I answered that question in the Q&A. Reach out to Lewis and he can follow up with you and we can see what's up. The other piece that I would just want to add, I think it was a question, there was a question about like, if you're not part of the council, then how can you kind of keep track of what's going on with the project? Primester did set up a website that's just about the project. We'll be posting information there and we'll share that information. We'll share more about that at the end of our workshop, and it will also get emailed to you. We are at 7:42, So I want to make sure there's a couple more things we want to do today or this evening. Before I do that, I just want to open the floor to our panelists to see if there's any other last questions that you can field at this time, or any other last comments that you'd like to share before we kind of move on to kind of looking forward to what's next.
No comments on the Metro side.
I don't have any.
Alexis, you're good? Leandro? Wonderful.
All
Okay.
good.
So please know that we are going to be all of these responses, because this workshop is being recorded. We are going to be making sure that all of the responses get transposed, so that we have a really great, robust FAQ to post on the website. Give us a couple days, to do that. We want to make sure everything, that there's robust responses there. So this next part of our agenda, sorry, and I will just acknowledge, I think we lost our person who was just joining over the phone. We do have that information, and just for the good of the group, we will follow up with our participant who was just joining over the phone, so that any questions that they have, we can add to that FAQ. So you have that commitment from us. So at this last kind of part of our agenda, we have 3 more community workshops, and we'd like to hear what topics you'd like to learn more about in those workshops, and what or what you'd like to inform. So for each workshop topic, we're going to put up a poll with different topics that are specific to that theme for the upcoming community workshop. We're going to put each poll and talk about each workshop one by one. And you're going to have 2 minutes to select the top 3 topics that are of most interest to you. You are also welcome to enter specific questions about those topics in the Q&A or chat boxes. And we'll make sure that we're going to do our best to incorporate the questions folks have and the information that's shared in the discussions that is had. Your input is going to help shape the flow and the format of the next workshops, and we're going to do our best to address those questions and areas that you all want to hear about. I emphasize format because Zoom has some really good, some really fun functions around things like breakout groups and things like that. So depending on kind of what's the most of interest to the community, we're going to try to do our best to be, to kind of change up the format as well. Okay, so I'm going to put up the poll for the next workshop. Give me a minute to set this up. So the next workshop is on local hire. There are a lot of questions here. This workshop is happening on Wednesday, September 16th. Same time, 6 to 8 p.m. And it will also be on Zoom. So you have different topics here. We've identified from the projected temporary jobs that'll be available during construction to projected permanent job opportunities, subcontractors, estimated timelines for hiring, training opportunities, the LA Metro Training and Innovation Center, and local hire goals. Anything else that might not be captured here, feel free to enter it in the chat box, as well as any specific questions you might have to local hire. I give folks a full minute on this. I can see a timer right here. Wonderful. So, we've got a lot of folks who are saying they want to learn more about the permanent job opportunities. We've got a number of responses that they want to learn more about the training center. The local hire goals is coming out as one of those top option or topics as well. What does local hire actually mean? So we can address that in that workshop. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and close this poll now. Okay. So and you can see kind of where we landed on here. of the topics that are of greatest interest. So the permanent jobs and local hire goals. We'll definitely work on our agenda to make sure that that's part of the agenda for that workshop. Okay, so the next workshop is going to be happening on Wednesday, October 7th, also from 6 to 8 p.m. This will be an especially exciting workshop. It's focused on retail and the retail and commercial spaces for the project. Some topics here, could be the more discussion around the grocery vendor, retail vendors. There was a lot of discussion in the chat around kind of what does quick retail mean, or what are the other kinds of vendors that will be there. Affordability, parking, community space. So I'll let this poll go for a couple more seconds. There is a lot of interest in the grocery vendor. So I know that'll definitely be a discussion topic.
Yeah, I'm super interested in that one as well.
Right. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna, and let's see, we have, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and close this poll in just another second. Great. And so here you can see the results here. Overwhelmingly, folks want to talk about the grocery vendor, so we'll talk about the grocery vendor, as well as retail and community space. That's great. We've got a lot of really wonderful, a lot of feedback also in the chat box. So, I think as a development team, we're really looking forward to reviewing all the comments. Things are moving quite quickly. But you have our commitment that we'll be reviewing those. So finally, our fourth community workshop is going to be on affordable housing. So that workshop is happening on Wednesday, October 28th, also from 6 to 8 p.m. A lot of different options here, from the unit mix to eligibility. I think some of that was discussed earlier by Alexis, but certainly it looks like folks are really interested in learning more about that. The housing application process looks like it's something of interest to folks as well, and kind of the timing and support for those. I'm going to let this poll go as well for another 30 seconds or so. All right. I said 30 seconds, so I'm going to just wait for 30 seconds. Great. So I'm going to go ahead and end this poll and share the results. Overwhelmingly, folks want to know about the eligibility, so we'll definitely spend some time on that. Great. So, okay, so I'm going to stop sharing the poll. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone for all your participation. Louis is going to actually wrap us up with some next steps and what to expect. Just thank you so much for all of, did I really share? I shared the results, right? Oh, okay. Sorry, it looked weird for a moment. Okay, I'm turning it over to Louis. Thanks, everyone.
Wrap up in next steps. We're pulling together an FAQ of the questions from the chat box with responses. FAQs from this and all the following workshops will be posted on the Vermont Manchester website and emailed to attendees. We have 3 more workshops happening. Local hire, Wednesday, September 16th. Retail and commercial space, Wednesday, October 7th. Affordable housing, Wednesday, October 28th. It's not too late to RSVP for an upcoming workshop. Please look out for the following follow-up email, which will include the RSVP link for the remaining workshops. Please RSVP to receive the Zoom link for the specific workshop. Excuse me. Thank you for your participation today. We hope to see you at a future workshop.
Is that it?
That's it.
Oh,
Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening.
thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Oh, and the website, the Vermont Manchester website is in the chat box. We will send it out as well.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.